possible homicide is being investigated in Wakulla County.
My prayer is that one day we will solve this and I will never quit.
Searchers will fan throughout Tallahassee in an effort to locate and bring Allie home.
When a loved one is murdered or missing, a family and community's lives are changed forever.
God told me Mike didn't drown. I had to find him.
There are no clues.
Please, all I ask you to do is just bring her back.
Healing can't begin until justice is served and small town secrets are revealed. It was Monday, August 26th of 2024 in Crawfordville, Florida. 40-year-old Ian Rogers had just received a new work truck and a big promotion. His son Aiden's 11th birthday was the next day, and they were looking forward to celebrating. But they never did, because since that morning, no one has ever seen or heard from Ian Rogers again.
How can this be happening? It's always something that happens to somebody else. You don't ever think it's gonna happen to you, but it can and it does.
I try to stay positive and think, he'll be home, he'll be back.
Welcome to Small Town Secrets, the case of Ian Rogers. I'm Ava Van Valen. In a time when cameras are everywhere and our digital footprints record our every move, how does someone manage to vanish? That's a question that Ian Rogers' mother says, strangely, she and Ian talked about a couple of weeks before his disappearance.
We were just talking about how in the United States it would be hard to disappear because there's cameras at the ATM, at the grocery store, your neighbor's house, and inevitably you'd be seen somewhere, so you couldn't disappear. And then Ian disappeared.
There's a lot more to these cases than what it's not as simple as it really looks.
Captain Brett Sirachi is the public information officer at the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office. He gave me a rundown of the day Ian went missing.
On August 27th, the missing persons report was filed by Ian Rogers' mother. He was last seen on August 26th at approximately 9 a.m., leaving her house, which is off of Shadeville Road in Crawfordville, Florida. And he left driving his work truck, a white Dodge 2500 pickup truck that his workplace let him use just recently.
I was leaving for work and I saw his truck out by the shed out there, and then he left for work about 9 o'clock. I had called him earlier and, I just said, hi, how are you? What's going on? And, have a great day and I love you and, that kind of thing. And that was the last time I talked to him.
Ian had stopped by his mother's that morning to get some tools he needed for work. Now, prior to that, at 5 a.m., Ian dropped his girlfriend, Kaylee Evans, off at Rocky's, the convenience store where she worked. He lived with Kaylee and her daughter in Kaylee's parents' house in Crawfordville. The two met in May of 2023.
He was a great guy, extremely hard worker. He was so funny, always made everybody laugh.
Kaylee says Ian normally called her throughout the day, but August 26th was different.
My cat was stuck in a tree. I had tried to call Ian a couple of times to see, when he was going to be home. What should I do with this situation? And I never received an answer.
Where was the work site that he was supposed to be traveling to that morning?
Okay, it was off of Woodgate Way.
In Tallahassee.
Correct.
Joe Webster is the owner of Spartan Exteriors, a Tallahassee construction company. He's also a longtime friend of Ian, whom he has known since they were about 12 years old. Joe was also Ian's boss at the time he went missing.
He was great at leading other guys. He was great at talking to the clients. He was very skilled.
Ian had just been promoted from lead carpenter to foreman and received a new work truck.
He was very happy with it and said it was the nicest truck he had ever driven.
Joe says that on that Monday morning, Ian was supposed to be at work at a job site in Tallahassee at 8 a.m.
He called me just before 8 a.m. and he said he was running late because the truck was overheating. I said, let's go ahead and drop it off at the dealership. They have a mechanic there and let's get it fixed. And I Pretty sure that was the last time I heard from him.
Joe says the dealership he suggested Ian take the truck to was Highway 27 Auto Sales on the corner of Appalachian Parkway and Capitol Circle.
I called that dealership to see if he had been there because I hadn't heard from him, and they said they never saw him. You know, I started wondering, did the truck actually overheat? Did he actually even drive to town? Or was I just getting excuses? That's kind of what I was thinking.
So where did Ian go after he left his mother's house, if not to the dealership?
Subsequently, the following day, the vehicle was picked up by surveillance in the area of Tom Brown Park, but that would be the last place on the 27th that the vehicle was seen. Although you're able to see the vehicle, you can't tell who was driving the vehicle. The cameras weren't good enough to be able to ascertain that.
And although Ian's work truck was fairly new, there was no GPS tracking on the vehicle. So what about his cell phone, which has never been found? Was the Wakulla County Sheriff's Office able to track his movements through his device? And what about phone records? Did the WCSO identify the last person Ian spoke to or texted, and what was revealed? I asked Captain Sirachi.
Due to the ongoing nature of the investigation, we can't release information regarding the last person or location, but I can tell you this. The phone pings are an imperfect science. Everybody thinks it's super easy. Why don't you just ping the phones? The more urban of an area, the more towers that you have, the more tightly you can track that signal and really narrow it down to a very, very small area. When you get into more remote areas, there's less towers. If you at least have 3 towers, you can triangulate and narrow the distance down significantly. It could be plus or minus 1.5 miles, 2 miles, and you could be searching one area and be completely off. But it's not an accurate ping that you would expect from like maybe Find My iPhone.
After Ian failed to show up for work on the 26th, his boss kept trying to reach him.
His phone rang, no one answered. I called him again at 11, and the phone was off, wouldn't even ring. Like either died or he shut it off. And then 5:30, I left work.
Left work and went to Ian's mother, Teresa Rogers' house, to tell her that Ian hadn't shown up that day. Ian's older brother lived with Teresa. He has since passed away. Joe recalls a conversation he says he had with Ian's brother during that visit.
He said something was definitely wrong. He's never seen his brother in this particular state of mind. He gave his interpretation of it was that Ian didn't feel like he was worth having that nice truck. Whatever was going on with him, whatever was wrong, was something that he has never seen before.
August 27th, the day after Ian went missing, was his son Aiden's 11th birthday. With Ian now declared an official missing person, there was little celebration.
They had planned on having a breakfast birthday party, and Aiden would go to school, and then Ian was going to pick him up in his new truck, and then have a party that evening. Friends and family. There was a whole big plan. It was tradition, and there's no way he ever would miss that. There's no way.
Teresa Rogers says her son had struggled at some points in his life with substance abuse, but says he seemed like at the time of his disappearance, he was drug-free. She says he was a gifted carpenter who built the house she lives in and describes him as a child, creative and smart, a kid who loved physics, playing the drums and skateboarding.
This one's a mother's nightmare. This one is jumping off the trailer. God. After school, they would go out behind the Winn-Dixie here in Crawfordville, and they would just skateboard. And I have some pictures of him just like way up in the air, and just doing all these tricks and everything. I'm glad I didn't see it because I'm sure there was lots of falling and rolling. And so he was really good at that, and he was just really good at everything.
Can you dance again? He was just a really great guy. He was a great dad. He was great with my daughter, and he treated her like his own. I remember he would always tell me, can you feel that? Like, this is how it's supposed to be. This is what this is supposed to feel like. And I could absolutely feel that.
Captain Brett Sirachi wants to clarify that Ian Rogers' case began as and is still considered a missing person investigation, not a criminal investigation.
The reason that's handled by the criminal investigation is all cases regarding that need follow-up after they're taken initially by the patrol division come to CID.
In November of 2025, there was a significant lead in this case. Ian Rogers' work truck was finally found abandoned in a remote wooded area off of Old Plank Road in Leon County, Florida.
I thought for sure that this would be closure. He would either be in the truck or near the truck. I was just hoping to get some kind of answers out of it.
Canine teams searched an over 100-acre area around where Ian's truck was found.
Leon County Sheriff's Office is assisting Wakulla County Sheriffs. There are also several other agencies here, FDLE, FWC, North Florida Search Team.
The teams worked throughout the afternoon, thoroughly covering the designated search zone. By late afternoon, the search area had been fully exhausted. Detectives have since identified additional sections of the surrounding terrain to be searched, and a new search grid and operation are currently being scheduled. Ian's truck, missing no more, was towed to a Tallahassee wrecker. What was once a source of pride and a symbol of new beginnings for Ian Rogers now sits empty, battered by the elements, a broken pair of children's glasses on the dashboard. The vehicle's recovery, which was once thought to be the key to solving his mysterious disappearance, has only raised more questions about what could have possibly happened to Ian Rogers. If you have any information about this case and would like to remain anonymous, go to Big Ben Crime Solvers, or you can contact Captain Brett Srirachi. All cold case submissions can be sent to me, ava.vanvalen@wctv.tv. Thank you for joining me for Small Town Secrets, the search for Ian Rogers. If you know anything about this case, please help his family get the answers they deserve. I'm Ava Van Valen. Good night.